when you get a woman with a nasty attitude, like the one in this clip that we just saw, she's not looking for a relationship. She's looking for someone to pay the bills under the guise of a relationship.
Y'all ever notice the broke ones always be the ones quick to go in a relationship? They be quick to have a title within a week. They be quick to make it official within a week. They be ready to move in your house, meet your family, go to all your family functions with you. They want to come and cook for you. They want to come and clean for you. They very committed to be around your house. And you ain't got to worry about them cheating. You ain't got to worry about them leaving out because they ain't got no money to hang in the streets. And nobody don't want to deal with nobody broke. But just know, when it's time to pay them bills, you're going to be doing it all along because they ain't going to maintain no employment. They're going to want to be under you. They're going to want to pay you by being good in bed, so to speak. So you got to be careful for these type of people. They what you call opportunists. They're looking for a caregiver, a sponsorship, somebody to take care of them while they pay you off by being good in the bed and giving you companionship.
How many of you ever had relationships like that? Put in the comments, have you ever had a relationship where it really just seemed like kind of a physical exchange for money, you might say, okay? Now, here's the thing. This, of course, is about broke TikTok. According to TikTok, broke people should not date. And don't worry, we're going to be hitting both sexes, okay? But I will tell you, if I look at my dating history, all right, unfortunately, I was probably the broke person, to be totally honest, but I always did maintain employment in some way or another. So it was never like I just lived with someone and expected to park it, okay, even if I was the one making less money. But there are people out there just full blown, they're not going to work. They're not going to work at all. You're expected to do all the labor. The romance gets real old after a while if you are with someone who does not have the desire to bring in any sort of income. What's that saying, that love doesn't pay the rent? So you have to be careful. And also, speaking of, people who would do that sort of stuff, it's not limited to any particular age. All right, so don't be thinking this is all the young people doing this. I guarantee you there are plenty of older people that have not done their planning. They have not done their savings that would be really happy to just, camp out, all right, at some man or woman's house, all right, under the guise of love. I had a gal pal, true story, several years back. It's been like over, I'd say about 8-9 years ago. And she was actually in her 50s. Very eligible woman for dating. Beautiful. Had her act together the whole 9 yards. Okay. True story. She marries this man. All right. And she thought she was very financially smart, very successful. She thought she had vetted him, financially. They actually get married, and it turns out he is carrying tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And she has that relationship annulled. And I remember her telling me, she's like, no guy is just going to park his shoes, by my front door, and he's going to be totally broke, and or he's not going to have absolutely any sort of resources. Now, it's different when you're talking about people who might be retired, okay, because I'm 11 years to retirement. And what happens if I retire? I get married, but I will come with a 30-year teaching pension, or somebody comes with some other type of pension. We're not talking about that. That's different. But we're talking about people who just simply park it. They're broke, and they're like, hey, I'll make the bed sheets, do the dishes, just like what this guy was saying. Basically, I'll be the housemaid, but you pay all the bills. So unless you're happy with that type of arrangement, you might want to be careful about that.
3 reasons why you shouldn't get with a broke woman. 1, it doesn't take a lot to make them happy. All you have to do is throw some money, pay their bills, and they're happy. Second, you stop doing that, she don't want to mess with you no more. 2, if another guy with more money comes along, she's monkey branching to the next guy. See, they're not loyal to you, they're loyal to the money. 3, they're always going to be asking you for things. See, most women that have a job and actually doing well for themselves ain't going to really ask you for too much. So when you get a woman the gift that ain't broke, she's actually going to cherish it. But you see, the money-hungry broke girl is going to take the gift and expect more gifts in a short period of time.
I will tell you, I have never expected gifts from a guy. I had a gal tell me once that It was probably a couple years back. She said, she goes, you could get a whole lot more treats from a guy, but really, as someone who has always earned their own money, even when I was broke, I was still earning my own income. All right. I don't feel comfortable asking people for money, man or woman. I don't feel comfortable, and I've never ever, I mean, I'm just talking for myself, but I've never felt comfortable asking or expecting any man to pay for me. Now, some people might say, well, they're just using you then because you're a woman and you can pay all your bills. But, to me, we're kind of like, aren't we both supposed to be adults and be able to pay our bills? Okay, and anything that he gives to me is a gift. So I see what this guy's saying. He's basically saying that if you set up your relationship to where you're buying her everything, and if she doesn't have money, she comes to expect it. Now, does this mean, of course, family, that this comes from everybody, that everybody who's broke and you give them something, kind of like you give them an inch and they'll take a mile? That does not mean everybody. But I will say there is definitely a group of women out there that, yeah, they're not too interested in earning anything. They think they're the whole snack and think you should be paying for everything. I am not comfortable with asking the opposite sex for money. Put in the comments if you are. I mean, there might be people, I am totally comfortable asking for money. And again, this is not someone of your spouse. Okay, this is just someone you're casually dating, or maybe even someone you've just met. Hey, we've seen those dating things on TikTok, have we not? Where the guy takes a woman out and takes her to, like, what was it, that cheesecake factory or something? She goes, that's not good enough for her. Right? So those women clearly do exist.
I'm the one who's ended up digging men out of financial binds, or trying to, and I'm done. So if you're a guy in your 50s and flat broke, I'm out. And here's some of the things that qualify as subcategories. You haven't paid child support. I'm out.
Now on the Ramsey show, I have done a lot of stories where where the men are severely behind on child support. That's a really serious issue, because that's a legal issue. And if you're trying to have a relationship if you're a guy and you're trying to have a relationship with a new woman, and you are severely behind on child support to the first woman that you had a child with, you're dragging that new partner into the legal liabilities of your life. And it's something that she definitely needs to know about. And we've done stories right here, family, where the guy does not tell the woman, oh, by the way, I owe a whole bunch of child support. That can be a deal breaker depending upon the amount of child support, and also depending upon, how long the child support's been behind.
You once read the Constitution and you feel like the IRS is not empowered to collect. I'm out. So you don't pay your taxes. I'm out.
In other words, she doesn't want conspiracy theorists. Okay.
I'll give you one bankruptcy maybe 20 years ago, but if it's due to out of control debt and you keep refiling, like it's a pattern of poor behaviors with money, I'm out. You see, here's the reason why I am not up for changing a man's financial behaviors in my 50s. It's because I'm 57 years old, and my runway every day is getting shorter and shorter toward retirement. I cannot put my financial well-being on the line for your poor financial decisions.
This is something that we focus a lot on. I focus a lot on when I do the Ramsey show, because I'm 57. And when she talks about your runway is getting shorter and shorter, yes, it is. So if you're in your 50s or even your late 40s, I'll even push it to that early, and you decide to hook up with someone who does not have a sense of fiscal responsibility, and you spend or you waste the next 15, 20 years just dealing with fiscal irresponsibility. Okay, let's say you're 45, which is still really young, okay? But you can wind up being 60 15 years later, right? 40, 45, when is 45? I'm bad at math, okay? So you wind up at 60, okay? 15 years with someone who's irresponsible, and you have nothing. You have to remember, it can take a good 20 years or more to really start building a financial future that is going to help secure you at retirement. And we have to also remember that it's not everybody is going to be guaranteed to be able to work till they're 67, 68, 60. Things happen. So I'm hoping to work till I'm 68. All right, because that's when I'll get a full 30-year pension. But what if something happens and I can't work past, let's just say, the age of 62 or 65? Well, I started planning my retirement portfolio when I was 38 and became a teacher. I'm now in my 19th year of teaching, so this fall of 2025, I'll enter my 20th year. So if something happens, I will have at least a 20-year pension already built in through the state of Florida. What she's saying is that, and I understand fully being this age, and it's something that younger people can learn from, even though she's talking about 57, I thought she had some valuable information, and that is, look, if you're in your 50s and you haven't got your financial act together, and yet you're still wanting to hook up with someone, you may have to be ready that a woman who is financially responsible, if you're a guy, or vice versa, okay, we can speak both directions, always know that, okay, the arrow points both ways, all right, but if you're a guy and you're wanting to hook up with a woman who has, she's on the ball, and she's been on the ball since she was in her 30s, and you're showing up at 60 years old, and you're like, I'm broke, I have nothing, and I'm, $25,000 behind on child support. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's not that I wouldn't like you as a person, but what it would show, especially at these later years, is that we don't communicate the same together financially. We don't see money the same. So it's not necessarily that, one would be rejected because we don't think you're a nice person. She can't afford it. I could not afford it. There are plenty of men that could not afford to pick up someone with a whole lot of debt. Which is why when I had my $110,000 student loan forgiven in 2022, after carrying it for 16 years, I basically had it from the age of respectively about 37, and it just got discharged in 2022. So I carried it for 16 years. It grew from 85,000 to 110,000. And one of my biggest concerns, in all honesty, all right, was I would not be considered dating material. Yeah, I would be considered, short-term, non-committed, casual, but I wouldn't be looked at as marriage material. What guy in his 50s would want to pick up a woman who had a $110,000 student loan? Remember, it grew from 85 to 110. What guy wants to pick her up? Now, some people would say, oh, well, men don't worry about money. It's okay if the woman's broke. Not so fast. Not so fast. That is a whole lot of money to pick up and know that the person you're picking up can't pay it off. So I would have understood if some guy had said to me, look, I think you're neat and I think you're really smart and I love subscribing to your YouTube channel, but that's the most I'm going to do because, honey, you got $110,000 student loan. It's just growing and growing, and you're a teacher. And he doesn't have the means to pay it off. I certainly don't have the means to pay it off. So this means it just goes into our retirement portfolio with us. So I can understand her saying there's a short runway, and that runway gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So what sometimes gets mistaken for sounding like, oh, this man or woman is just being picky because this person has debt. Look at how long the runway is. And when you start looking at debt of people in their 50s and 60s, that timer is ready to start ringing. And really, you need to start thinking of your retirement in, I'd say, by early 40s and definitely by your mid 40s.
Unpopular opinion? We live in a world where a man has to be financially stable just to date a broke woman.
A man who is broke or financially challenged or whatever you want to call it, he is not biochemically wired to be able to love you right. He's either first not going to feel like a man, and then that's going to either breed resentment towards you, so he can't truly see you or appreciate you anyways, or he's a Build-A-Bear who's just trying to feed off of you, which brings me back to my first point. He's not a real man. Or 3, he's going to bring you down. He's going to make you feel like you have to minimize yourself and your strengths and your accomplishments in order to be able to make him happy.
I think it's important first to note, I don't agree with all these comments, all right? So take the comments as you wish, okay? Here's the thing. You can be broke and still be a real man. You're just going to be a real man who may have to hold 2, 3 jobs so you can get yourself out of the broke status. I was broke. And you've heard me say before, in my 20s, there were times when I had a quarter in my checking account. And I'll be really honest, family, it wasn't until I got into my late 40s where the $3 in my checking account was, not considered normal. So does that make me any less of a real woman? No, I'm still a real woman. I was just a real woman struggling to find her way financially. So I think we need to be careful about saying that just because a man or a woman is broke, that somehow or another it lessens them as being a real man or a real woman. Okay. The other thing too is she talks at the very end about, they broke people, they want to bring you down to their level. I think she said something about that, to bring you down to their level, to make them feel better about themselves. My experience is it actually, in that regards, it doesn't matter if the person is broke or not. You can have two totally capable people dating, and one of them, if they are insecure, may try to find ways, and I've dealt with this too, to take the other partner down. So that is definitely, in my experience, it's not limited to people who are necessarily broke. I had someone years ago tell me that I had not amounted to very much and could certainly amount to more. Now, that's fine if I thought that, recommendation was all in good effort and faith and all that, and they themselves weren't broke. But sometimes what winds up happening is when people are really insecure about their financial status, they'll insult somebody else's financial status. But just being broke in and of itself does not make you less of a man or a woman. And I think we need to make that really clear because, like I said, I've been very broke. And I never stopped trying to climb my way out. So I don't like to think that that would make me less of a woman. And the same goes reverse for a man. We're just in a season of our life that we're broke, but hopefully we're getting ourselves out of it.
So quick to let me take you on a trip. Pay a bill.
Now, before we go on with this woman had so many expletives. I almost didn't even show her, show this TikTok that this guy's reacting to her from because she had so many expletives. So I want to let you know her anger and rage. And this to me was just over the top, but I took out a whole lot of expletives. And this to me is anger that is very unattractive in a lady. And before he talks, that was just a snippet, okay? And what I tried to show is how upset she is. But, I mean, she goes on this expletive tirade, being angry before he talks. Being angry because your life is messed up financially. Being angry at somebody else and screaming at them, which is what she's doing, to, pay the bill. That's not somebody else's job. That's your job. Of course, TikTok didn't exist. Social media like this did not exist when I was growing up. All right. I hopped onto the internet for the first time in my life in this thing called the internet. Okay. At the age of, I was about 26, 27. And sitting in my car, if I had taken myself back to then screaming to tell men to pay my bill, that's not a guy's job. Never has been. And even when you get married, I still don't think it's their job to take care of you. It's your job to each contribute the best that you have of each other towards the relationship. But to sit and scream, and she does with all the expletives in the world about, don't take me on a date, just pay my bill. It's very unattractive for women to act like this.
Women are hard to love, man. And that's why you have to avoid them like the plague. You know what I'm saying? When these women are in survival mode and you out here, you trying to date, you trying to do the right thing, you trying to go spend thousands of dollars on her on a vacation, she can't even accept it because she's so poor. Because let's be real, unless you're gonna pay all of her bills, right, and take her out of survival mode and then date her, you're never going to have a good time dating her, because she's out here thinking like this. You want to take her on a nice date to a nice restaurant. She thinking spending $200 on this food. He could have helped me with my car note. You don't want nobody who mind ain't clear, man. Imagine you being a gentleman, wanting to take a woman out on a nice date or on a trip or something like that. Spend all this money on her. She can't even accept it. You gotta find you a woman who's comfortable living within her means. Could you imagine, man? It's almost like she's upset that a man wants to spend money on her and not her bills. Like he signed that dotted line for that car note. Like he put his information in for that car insurance. Like he qualified for her rent and then moved in and bought furniture and put TVs up. Like he signed up for them student loans and went to class and got a degree that ain't paying for the degree. She actually mad at a guy trying to, woo her. Yeah, man, y'all gotta avoid these women like the plague, man, I'm telling you.
When you're getting, now again, not all broke women are like this and not all broke men are like this. So let's just put that to the side because we recognize that. But when you get a woman with a nasty attitude, like the one in this clip that we just saw, she's not looking for a relationship. She's looking for someone to pay the bills under the guise of a relationship. So if you were to go out and you were to spend $20 on flowers, she would look at you and scream, "Why'd you spend $20 on flowers? I need you to cover my cell phone." But I want you to notice something, okay? This woman that was screaming in the background, all right, of her expletive-laden tirade, I noticed her hair is perfectly done. She seems to have her makeup on perfectly. Her nails, I'm sure, are done, okay? But she presents herself upscale. So how is it that you, oftentimes you'll see this, how is it you have the money to present yourself with such an upscale method, yet you claim you're broke, but your hair is perfect? I'm just saying, all right? These are things that I observe. But man or woman, if you are dating someone who is broke, but with an attitude like that, you need to haul out, and I'm using the nice word, you need to haul out as fast as possible, because things like that only go from bad to worse. That's not the man or the woman you need in your life. So haul it, get on those Nikes and run if you see that type of attitude.
What I've noticed is a lot of men who don't have money to date, like they should not be dating, instead of like being real and upfront about that, they try to front, and then they put the blame on you, the woman, for you not being like grateful and being patient with them while they get their money up to be able to take you out on a nice dinner date. If you don't have enough money for a dinner date, you really shouldn't be dating. Like, stop all this. Let me take you out for a drink. Let me take you out for coffee. Stop all of that, because that's where the buck stops. You want to take me out for coffee or drinks, and then the next date is at your house so you can cook me dinner. You're broke. Like, stop dating. It's so annoying. I used to date this one guy who supposedly had his together and had money and whatever, and he would like literally make all the excuses in the world why he couldn't take me out on a date, because he was busy with his business, and we would just like hang out at his house and watch movies, and like, because I just needed to be patient for him to take me out. Turns out he was broker than broke. He had nothing left, and he had to move back home with his mom.
That woman, by the way, claims that men are after her. So take it for what you said, and take it for what's worse. She has appeared, I think, on a number of talk shows, podcasts and stuff. But she claims that the men are all after her. Yet she seems to make a lot of TikToks lying in bed. So I guess, hey, to each their own. Just because a person does not have a lot of money, in my view, doesn't mean that it says that it means that they shouldn't go out and meet people. So just because you're not wealthy, does that mean the only people that are allowed to meet people have to be not broke? And what is broke? If I know that I have $100, let's just say, in my checking account, and I say to you, hey, let's get together and go see a matinee movie and have a Starbucks afterwards. Is that considered too broke? Now, the woman that you just saw, okay, the one laying in bed, all right, telling men that if they're broke, they shouldn't be dating, and claims that all these other men are after her. I only know that because I've seen the podcasts and stuff that she's appeared in. Well, maybe those guys could say, well, if you can't even get your hiney out of bed and take off the nightcap and, present yourself, then maybe you're too broke. Hey, maybe you're too broke to have nice clothes. So I've never put a dollar figure on what someone has to make for them to have the right to date. I didn't even know people did that.
You get money and you get successful, you get out of cars and jewelry. These females gonna come around and try to use you, but I've been used to the max, feel me, just because I didn't know. So I'm giving y'all the game because all y'all finna get some money, but I want y'all to be informed before y'all get the money. You gotta understand these females gonna come around you and they really gonna use you. That's what I got some money. Females started coming around just because of what I could offer for them, you know what I'm saying? They'd tell you, you know what I'm saying? Female go to the nail shop, she'd go to the nail shop, send you pictures. She'd be like, what color should I get my nails? And I had a female do me like that. I told her, just get white, boom. She said, when it was done, she said, yeah, you gotta pay for it because you told me what nails to get. Y'all, listen, these females really out here to use y'all, folks, but I've been used to the max. And it really make it hard as hell for me to date now because you never know nobody's intentions. You never know if a female around you for beneficial reasons, if she can do something for you. My advice, when you get some money, make sure you messing with a female that's getting her some money too, bro. If she ain't getting no money, and I ain't saying she got to be lit as you are. You know what I'm saying? You going crazy. I ain't saying she got to be lit as you, but she got to be able to support her own weight.
First of all, we don't really refer to grown adults as females. We typically refer to them as women. But that aside, again, I believe there are women out there that are that manipulative, that would do something like, hey, what color nail, polish should I get? And he gives a color and she says, well, you owe me that bill. Again, I have never understood that train of thought because I was never raised that way. I think it has a lot to do with the upbringing and perhaps, not always, but perhaps what they saw modeled in the home. I'm not saying all the time, okay? But where did they get that idea of entitlement? Maybe they just simply saw it on social media. I personally don't believe men should get involved with women who think that way. Okay, if someone does something nice for me of the opposite sex, it's a gift, it's a present, and it's something that I take with gratitude. It is never something that I take, as, well, you're supposed to do it. Who was taking care of your hair before he came along? Who was taking care of your nails before he came along? Who bought you your clothes, your shoes? Who did all that? And now the guy comes along and you're possibly not even in a serious relationship with him. And there are women out there that want them to buy all this stuff. I get it. And I don't think it's right. That's just in my world, okay? But again, we can flip it around and we could say the same thing. A guy who's broke always seems to have money for the cigarettes, but never seems to have money for the bill, right? I don't date men who smoke. I've done that twice, and I can't do it.
I'm chubby and I'm broke. He's supposed to accept me the way I am. It doesn't work like that in real life, babe. The internet is one thing. It's all kicks and giggles on the internet. But when you off your phone and you have to deal with people in real life, it don't work like that. You got to think about it like this. Why would a man who is financially stable, who want to deal with you, the broke girl?
You never pay for her basic maintenance needs. Phone bill, hair, nails, clothes. I'm not paying for her to survive on the planet unless she's my wife.
And I completely agree with that. If you are not a married couple, you're not obligated to pay each other's bills. This is why, like on the Dave Ramsey show that I do a lot of commentary on, you get these people who are playing house, and even worse yet, sometimes they literally buy a house together and they're not married, and then the relationship breaks up and it's a total mess, an absolute mess.
She can't pay for her own nails, hair, phone bill, and stuff like that when she's not my wife. She had a girlfriend. Any girl that is expecting you to do those things for her as a main chick girlfriend is crazy. You mean I gotta pay for you to survive? I'm paying for you to survive. You give women an inch, they take a mile. It starts with paying for her hair and nails. Now before you know it, she don't want you to pay for her tampons.
Right, don't go anywhere, folks, all right? Go to the fridge, grab your next drink. We're going to do more TikTok broke right up here. I'll see you in just a minute.